Today I visited what is possibly the oldest independent animal sanctuary and charity in the UK, and I went to here, the Ferne Animal Sanctuary. This is near Chard in Somerset, and there I spoke with Nikki and Kevin and found out much more about what they do there. Can you tell me about the history of this very unusual and certainly different animal sanctuary?
Yes, yeah, for sure. Being the oldest non-national animal sanctuary and charity, Ferne is pretty much unique in the way that it has a combination of the 300 plus animals on site at any one time across our 72 acres here. And they will be with us for the rest of their lives. They've been surrendered to us for various reasons, and we will look after them in a natural habitat here at the sanctuary. And it was the bringing about of World War II and the early euthanasia of about 750,000 animals on the lead up to August 38th, 1939, when Lady Nina decided to set up Ferne Animal Sanctuary to look after all of those animals that would be displaced by war. And since that time, 84 years later, Ferne has rehomed or rehabilitated over 40,000 animals. It did so for over 6,000 animals during the time of the war alone. And here we are 84 years later, one change of address later, moving from the original site in Wiltshire to here in Somerset in 1975. It's amazing. It provides unique links to obviously the armed forces, and we're still part of the armed forces covenant, and I re-signed that last year with our chairman Bob O'Connor, and obviously links to the royal family way back then, because the Queen of the time was godmother to Lady Nina's daughter Myri, who sadly died at the tender age of 13 and was well known for helping her mother look after the animals on site.
What's it like actually working here on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, on a day-to-day basis, no day is ever the same. There's always something different. You know how it is with animals. There'll always be a curveball, a new challenge. Yeah, whether it be health-wise, behavioural-wise, incoming animals, outgoing animals, always something different.
To what degree do you go, for instance, to make the life of a cat better?
So for the life of a cat, we have you seen our cattery? We've just been in there. So we redecorated it recently, and we looked at things like, down to the detail of how colour might affect cats. And we found that blues and lilacs are really calming colours for cats. So now our entire cattery is painted out in those colours. It's a stressful environment for a domestic animal to come into, so we like to keep everything as stress-free as possible.
And there's outdoor runs for them, and
Absolutely.
large outdoor runs as well.
Yeah, large outdoor runs which they're free to come and go from as they please. We've got lots of different levels of surfaces for them to get up high, lots of places they can hide, and we give them lots of freedom to choose, which again reduces stress.
And this also applies to the dogs as well?
Absolutely, every animal here. Every animal here.
And we're sitting in a gazebo here, surrounded by banks of willow here. And what's all this about?
Yeah, so again, this is all, it's environmental, but it also benefits our visitors. It adds an educational element to visitors that come to us. We have a lot of children that come to us. We have a lot of local visitors. We have visitors that are here on holiday. So aside from the obvious environmental impact, it's a really restful, relaxing place for people to come and just relax and be away from the rat race. Yeah, every single animal has its own personality. Even amongst species and breeds, you've got to look at the individual, and they're all very unique.
Can you list some of the animals that you actually are looking after here?
Species or individuals?
Well, sort of individuals. Just list
Yeah.
sort of a bit of a list of animals that are here
Yeah.
as we're on our visit today?
So we've got, obviously, like you mentioned, we have a variety of poultry from chickens, ducks, geese, and then bird-wise we have an aviary full of birds. There are over 100 birds in our aviary, various finches up to cockatiels. Any domestic pets, so guinea pigs, rabbits, ferrets. We have a lot of ferrets that come to us. They've usually been stray animals. Chinchillas, quite an unusual pet nowadays. Require a lot more space than people anticipate usually. And then we've got livestock. We have livestock, pigs, sheep, goats, cattle, and the equines, of course. Can't forget the equines. We have 20 horses on site at the moment, varying degrees of welfare issues through to behavioural problems. And our kennels and cattery currently are full, as usual.
And you've even got a rather miniature Highland calf, haven't you?
We do. We have a little calf. He's 10 months old, Hamish. Very new arrival. He's come from a big estate. Unfortunately, he was orphaned and has been hand reared. He's now 10 months old, but hasn't grown to a usable size. He's not a useful animal on a farm, so he's come to spend his whole life here.
But quite a character by the look of him.
Quite a little character, yeah, absolutely. And he's tiny. We obviously need to let him grow a bit before he can go out with the rest of the cows. So he's currently making friends with our elderly goats.
Well, you've actually got a goat here from Linton, and I actually did a film about the Linton goat. So,
absolutely. Yeah, again, he was orphaned. His mum fell and died, leaving him orphaned. So he was picked up and brought here, where he was hand reared. So he's definitely not a wild animal anymore. He's super tame, yeah, Walter. Okay. We are open every day except for Christmas Day, Boxing Day and New Year's Day. Aside from that, we are open every day 10 till 4. We also offer guided tours for people who are really interested in more about the work that we do. So we get behind the scenes, we get into places that are not open to the public, and can meet some of the newer residents that might have a few more problems, and we can talk about how we manage the environment for the animals that live here and obviously for the wildlife, and it's quite an in-depth tour for people that are really interested in that.
Personally, what do you find most satisfying in your work here?
The most satisfying, and I think that would be, I could probably speak for most people who work here, is the welfare cases that we get that come in and the behavioural cases that we get come in, and we're able to turn them around and get them into a home where they are loved and fully appreciated.